Hello and welcome back to the railway. Today we're going to have a look at the Caledonian single R553 along with its tender R554. These both became available in 1963. As was normal at the time, both the Locomotive and the tender were sold separately. The Locomotive came in a DC box with end flaps, and the tender was packaged in an AC box also with end flaps. A bit like the box, this Locomotive is a little bit worn, has been around a bit, so I think before we do anything we're going to clean up the wheels a little and we'll have a look inside her. And here we've got the chassis of R553, the Caledonian single. Well, we're just giving these wheels a little bit of a clean. They're not too bad to start with. Just do the inside edge of this one where the pickup is, and then the running rail, running edge I mean. And there we go, I think those are clean enough. We'll just turn off the power and take off the clips here. Now if we just look at the side here, we've got this great big magnet here between the two wheels. The large wheel is the only drive wheel, and this has no drive at all. This one's fixed by the motor. So maghesion supplied to both these wheels, interestingly, and that ensures that the Locomotive doesn't tip up, so this wheel holds the back end down. So if I put that back on a piece of track there, and then it lifts up at a double length piece of Super 4 track, and it lifts it up without hesitation. So that's a lot of force onto the track there. And we'll just give these rear wheels a bit of a clean as well, because they do pick up power. So we'll make sure they're nice and clean. And that's looking pretty good. There's one more go here. And one more go there. If we have a look at the underside here, we'll give this one a bit of a clean here as well. Just have to rotate it with a finger, and the glass fibre brush cleans that up quite nicely. And that'll do it. And that seems to run fairly smoothly. And we could see how the torque from the motor could easily tip the model forward without that maghesion at the back end there. So I think that's quite a clever idea. That's enough of that for now. I think we'd better start getting it back together. Just before we do put it back together, we'll just look at the motor here. That's the XT60 motor, initially developed for the Triang TT range. It was also used in the R428 turntable a little later on. A very compact motor. If we have a look here, you can see it through the drive wheels. We can see the worm there directly onto the cog on the axle of the drive wheels. Really nice piece of design, this. And we'll just have a look at the body shell before we put it back together. This is a model from 1963, and this lining really is quite nice. Perhaps not quite as fine as you'd find today. But we've got the handrail picked out in silver along here, and we've got a separately fitted brass whistle. And these lovely round windows, unglazed of course. The decal here, the Caledonian crest there, really quite pretty. A little bit basic. And we've got the running number on a plate here, 123. These steps are very, very fine, and they are quite often broken. The one on the other side has been mended in the past, it's how it came to me. Have a look at this. This handrail is quite unusual. It's just fitted through a hole in the roof and secured to the base plate there. There is a little piece of plastic missing from this piece of moulding here. It should just extend out here. Again, that wasn't on when it came to me. But we've got some more detailing here, some pipe work, and we've got some riveting along here. And we've got some detail along the smoke box door, and some of it's picked out in silver. And we have metal buffers. The buffer beam is quite basic. And if I turn this around, We'll have a look at the other side. And there we go. There's some different detail on this side. Again, I'm not sure what this is here. And now we see the damage where the handrail fits to the roof there. That must have been damaged in the past. And here again, somebody's fixed this step back on here, but there is a piece missing. It's not too bad. And this sort of white marking here, as we saw on the other side as well, it's something eating away at the paintwork or the plastic. I'm not sure quite what causes that, but it's not too bad. And I don't think it really detracts from a model of this age. And there is a swift look on the inside of the cab. There is some detail, but it's quite hard to see there. Again, it isn't painted and it's very, very basic. And we'll just get this bogie put back in. So slot the screw in. See if we can hold the two together. And get the screwdriver in, turn it half a turn backwards till the screw drops into place. And then gently turn up the screw. Gently nip it, not too tight, and it's a shouldered screw which enables the bogie to move. And we'll just put this body shell back on. We'll just wiggle it on there, get it to catch on the front, in it goes, and then we'll get the screw back in. Just gently do up this screw. You don't want to over tighten it. And we'll just gently nip that up to the plastic. There we go. So there she is, all back together, just how she should be. These wonderful bogie wheels, painted blue here. You can see the overhang of this plate at the front here. That could cause some problems with the catenary mast if we're not careful. I think we should get her on the track with the tender now. And we'll just pop her back onto the track here. Hear the magnetic wheels sticking to the track. And we'll get the drive wheel on and the bogie wheels lined up. There we go. And then we'll just wheel up the tender. Really beautiful pair this. Look at the lining on here. Really nice. There is just a tiny bit of the Caledonian crest missing there. We've got all the suspension detail here, and a lovely load of coal and a filler cap there. And this buffer beam, another great shade of red, metal buffers. We'll just lift her up for a moment and have a look underneath. Here we can see this is a flanged wheel in the centre again. Really is nicely done. Lovely spoked wheels. So we'll just put her back on. We'll get that hooked up. And we'll give her a little power and see how she goes. She seems to be moving really well, but I don't think she likes these diamond crossings. Through she comes. Down the third radius curve, up the incline. No real problems with this. I wonder how she'll be with coaches. Coming up to the suspension bridge, looking pretty good. So what we really need now is to get the Raker coaches ready. Whilst I have run her in the past, the coaches I had platform grey roofs, which were the slightly later ones made in the 1970s. I haven't run these ones since I've got them. I had them for nearly a year, but haven't really used them. If we have a look underneath, we're going to need to do some cleaning work on these wheels. They're far too dirty to let those loose on the track. And the brake that's in the box, the wheels are similar condition, but not quite as bad. You can see the problem. We've got fluff and all sorts here, and we've got a thick layer of grime around the wheel rims. This is only going to transfer to the tracks and make more track cleaning necessary. So I think what we're going to do is remove these wheels and give them a clean. Just put her into this piece of polystyrene just to hold her safe while we remove the wheels, and then just unclip out there. You can see they're the pinpoint wheels. They're not too bad once they're cleaned, these. So we'll get another set out. I'm not going to do all of these on camera. So we'll take those out and we'll give this a clean up as well. So I'm just going to put the wheels from one of those coaches in the glass. And along with the glass, I'm going to put in a fairly good quality detergent. I'm not going to name it. And I'm also going to put in a fairly good quality bathroom cleaner. Plenty of it. The job of this stuff normally is to cut through the grease and grime that we find on the bath or the shower, which is just the sort of stuff we want to cut through on these wheels. I'm also going to add fairly warm water just to cover the wheels, and then we're going to give that a little bit of a stir, and then we're just going to leave those, the longer the better. I usually just leave these overnight. And while you're waiting for the wheels and the water to do the magic stuff, we can just give these a wipe with a bit of a wet wipe. And a couple of squirts of the same bathroom cleaner can be used on an earbud, cotton bud, whatever you call them. And just clean off the insides of where the axles go. And then just dry them off and then just leave them. Now after these have stood overnight, all the dirt sort of melts off them, so we'll take them out of the glass. We'll put the glass to one side, and I use one of these to do the rest of the work. And it's just good at taking off the stubborn bits and leaving it quite nice and clean. Give the axle a go as well, and the backs of the wheels. I would normally do this in the sink, but today we're just doing it on the bench. I think that's probably enough of that. And if we wipe it dry, clean the end of the axle. I referred to these as pinpoint wheels before, they're pinpoint axles. It's a horrible noise. Just try out the end of there, and that's probably as clean as that's ever going to get. And that should run quite nicely now. Now what we're left with is a very clean wheel, and the markings we see here are just the marks from where the rails have rubbed into the wheels over all those years. But if you scrape these wheels, you damage the plastic even more, which causes even more friction. And these pinpoints, they're just going to need a little bit of oil once they're back in the bogie frames on the coaches. And that's probably as good as these are ever going to get. So just leaving them to soak overnight does most of the hard work for you. And I think we'll get those back in the coaches. I'm not going to do them all on camera. And we're just getting the last wheel back in the bogie here. It's a little fiddly. Here it is. And we can see straight away these are in much better condition than they were, and should run a lot smoother with a lot less friction. So coming down the incline and past the coaches, we'll just bring a past point number 4 to a stop, and we'll open the point and bring her back gently over the points to the coaches. And away we go. No real problems with that. And then we'll close the points behind her. This model was available from 1963 to 1967 in this matte finish. And again, she was re-released in 1971 to 73 in a gloss finish. Climbing up here beautifully without any slip at all. Those coaches look terrific. Now these were also available from 1963 to 1967. Coming across that bridge looking pretty good. Now the coaches were again re-released in 1972 to 73 to go along with the gloss version of the model, but this time they had the grey roofs. Now we're just coming up to the curve at the end here, going underneath the incline section. These coaches look really good coming through there. And then we're going to open points number 8 and bring her onto the inside line. And then we'll close those. Picking up a bit of speed now to anticipate this first radius curve at the end here. Quite hard work for around there, all that friction. And a little stutter on the point there. Nothing too bad. Not much pickup on these. There's a big dead section on these points. And we'll bring around up to the station to a stop. And then we'll open points 9 and bring her across the diamond crossing onto the passing loop, perfectly across there, and close the points behind her. Going round behind the engine shed, and then we'll open up points number 4, and we'll bring her through here, and we'll bring her to a stop, and then we'll have a closer look at the coaches, and we'll close the point there. I'm just going to take the brake and the composite off, and we'll have a quick look at them. Just take her off there. We'll just take those over and lie them down. We just lie these coaches down together. We can have a closer look at the pair of them. They're not the most detailed coaches Triangle I've ever made. We've got these Caledonian crests at either end, but they don't line up with the CR moulded into the bodywork here. See, it lines up here, but not at the other end. And we have the running number on the brake is 7501, and the running number moulded into the composite is 7510. The paint is quite poorly applied to these raised edges. The detailing here, it's not terribly good at all. I don't really wipe these clean because the paintwork does tend to rub off in your fingers, so they're best left alone, I think. If we turn them over, we can see the detailing is quite significant on the other sides. So the window arrangement's completely different, and we've got that what's supposed to represent the handrail printed on the glazing also, and the same thing runs with the brake coach as well. Here we go. So they're a good overall effect, but when you do look closely, they aren't terribly well finished off at all. I think that's it for this week. Thank you very much for watching again, and next week we'll have something else from a similar period. Goodbye now.